So I never spoke too much about semen retention when it came to people in day-to-day life because I speak about this a lot in videos, but you might think that okay, semen retention is not something you can really bring up in a conversation easily, or that you might be more inclined to avoid because most people will not really accept it or understand it, right? And I want to tell you a different perspective because for a long time I didn't really speak about it. If someone told me, "Oh, why didn't you have sex with that girl?" or "Oh, like whatever," if it was brought up for me to mention it, I would just avoid it because I just assumed, okay, this person won't understand or this person might think it's odd or strange and I don't need to share this. But actually, with guys at least, it might be interesting to talk about because for a girl, unless you're like in a relationship and it's better to bring it up. For most girls, I don't think there's really a point, and yeah, it's true they won't get it unless you really feel she's kind of spiritually connected and she might get that, and you feel open to talk about it. But for guys, at least, um, I was surprised to see when I spoke to a guy in Mexico, actually, just a Mexican guy I was working with, and he actually started semen retention after we talked about it, and it inspired him, and I thought that was so cool. Like, he was telling me like what days he was on, and he wanted me to keep him accountable. And this is like I wouldn't have expected him to like that kind of stuff. It's just some Mexican guy. I was working in Mexico. It was kind of random. Some like 30-year-old guy. He was cool. And I kind of just brought it up randomly because we were talking a lot about girls, and I was like, I'm not really buying into all that lust stuff. I do something called semen retention. Have you heard of it? And surprisingly, he did know about it. And it makes you think, yeah, if you practice this, it might be interesting to talk about because you'd be surprised. The few times I spoke about it, I actually had an interesting conversation with the person. And yeah, one time I spoke to a guy at a party, and we were talking about self-development, and I was like, shit, he might want to talk about that. So we spoke about semen retention. And I believe like he was on 2 months of semen retention, some real shit, you find some people. And another reason why you should talk about it is because you shouldn't be ashamed of what you're doing. And sure, if someone doesn't agree with it or thinks it's stupid, well, that's their problem. And maybe, that'll just tell you that, okay, maybe I won't connect with that person on a deeper level, and that's okay. It's if you're just trying to please everybody, sure, you're going to get along with everybody, but you're not going to have any deep connections. You need to talk about what you truly care about, what you think is important, even if people might disagree with you, and that's okay. So, yeah. So defend your values. Don't be ashamed to speak about these things, and that's how you'll make connections. And also, like I said, you'd be surprised at how many people might actually be open to talk about this and find it interesting. Yeah, even yesterday, I was with a friend in the car, and he was like, because I was on vacation, and yeah, sure, I did do stuff with a few women, but I didn't have sex with them. I did maintain my semen retention at the very least. Although right now, I don't even want to do things with women. I don't want to feed into that lust, do anything sexual. And if I'm with a woman and we connect to some extent, I will tell her that. I will be open to her about it, that I do not want to do anything. I'm actually going to see a girl later this week that I had, a bit of a thing with before my trip to Mexico here. And I'm going to be open with her. I'm going to not necessarily mention semen retention, but I'll tell her, hey, I don't know if you see us being friends or continuing towards like dating or relationship, but, I'm going to be open with her that I don't want to go into that. Although you could if it's the right girl and not do anything sexual with her. But for this girl specifically, I don't feel that spiritual connection. Although she's cool, I'd see her more as a friend. But anyways, I was with my friend in the car, and yeah, like I said, I did some stuff with women in Mexico, but I did not have sex with them. So he was like, oh, yo, like when I said, like, I don't know, we were talking about girls, and he was like, yo, did you bang him? Like, oh, did you have sex with him? I'm like, no. And he's like, why? I'm like, instead of being like, you know, in the first place, maybe back in the day, if he told me, did you bang him? I would be like, yeah, like we did some shit, man. Like I would have said something like vague like that, but you gotta be straight up, especially with your boys. And that's when you know they're your boys, if you can talk to them about some shit, even if you disagree, you know. You can disagree and still be boys, or maybe that polarity will bring you closer or further, but this is some important stuff. And yeah, I said no, I didn't bang him, and he asked me why. And, at first I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to do that kind of stuff. But then I was like, hey, I do something called semen retention. That's why. And, I didn't really feel comfortable talking to it specifically with him, but at least I said that. And to my surprise, once again, he didn't know what it was. So yeah, you would be surprised. So to reiterate on everything, don't be scared to talk about semen retention in real life, with people. Here I'm talking specifically to the people who I know are into semen retention or might be interested. And once again, the benefits are real. I feel like a boss. I've got the energy. I'm working hard every day. And it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. Pushing on to 170 days. But yeah, don't be scared to talk to people about it. You'd be surprised that they do actually find it interesting. And if they don't, who cares? Who gives a fuck? It's your values. It's what's important. You don't necessarily have to preach and just talk to anybody, and just, talk to it for no reason. Like if it comes up, feel free to talk about it and don't hide. Don't be ashamed. And yeah, that's it for this video. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll see you soon.